Second, a large part of my time in 2025 will also be devoted to the political process. I'm going to be spending quite a bit of time working with lawmakers in Washington, D.C., and quite a bit of time working with members of the administration. We have to do this and we have to get it done. There's a very high probability that the Republicans will control not only the Senate and the presidency, but also the Congress, the House. So we will establish at Input Output a policy office, and we're going to begin staffing that office, moving some personnel around. And hopefully by January, we can begin to participate in that process and work with certain key leaders in certain key positions and get to a point where we can hybridize many of the proposals, including Fit 21, including the Lummis bill, the FIA, and other such things, so that we can get a bipartisan bill passed.
What's up, ADA Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. Breaking news coming straight from the horse's mouth. We've got Charles Hoskinson confirming that as a part of the year of 2025, he'll be working alongside policymakers in Washington, D.C., not only to vow for the benefits for blockchain technology, just like Cardano, but for the entire crypto and blockchain space. So without any further ado, we've got a lot to break down as Cardano has just made it over 66 cents, now up over 80% in the last 7 days. Again, guys, this is exactly why it pays to be patient. But without any further ado, let's dive into the main updates here. And then I want to take a look at the recent Bitcoin price action as well as Cardano. Now, before we go any further, if it's your first time stopping by, my name's Fareed. Again, aiming to provide you guys in the crypto ecosystem with all of the latest and breaking news. If you appreciate content like this, please make sure to smash that thumbs up. If it's your first time stopping by Dapp Central and you want more content, consider subscribing. And last but not least, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave those down below. If you do want to extend your support even further, I am a single stake pool operator, so definitely consider delegating with the official Dapp Central stake pool right now, where you'll be able to earn your traditional ADA rewards. But on top of that, you'll earn the Tokyo Pay token and the Sarah token, a DeFi sharing hub here building on Cardano. Let's jump right on in here. This is the I Am Back live stream hosted by Charles Hoskinson. Now, I've obviously muted it. I'll play the entire clip at the very end of today's video, so make sure to stay tuned and to stick around here. But there's so much to talk about, and I'm really excited for this most recent trip that Charles Hoskinson has taken. So if you've been out of the loop here, I'm going to briefly recap. Charles Hoskinson was getting a lot of hate and a lot of negativity here within the crypto community, right? Obviously within Cardano, we all love and appreciate Charles for all that he's done and all that he's contributed to Cardano, but people outside are always constantly fudding him. So he basically vowed to take a break. This was actually right as his birthday came around. He just turned 37. And as a part of that, he also made a trip to Washington, D.C. Now, interestingly enough, and who actually started a lot of this initial speculation, which has now been confirmed, is Rick McCracken. So a stake pool operator here breaking down the fact that Charles Hoskinson could potentially be an amazing pick to be Trump's crypto policy advisor. And I broke this news yesterday. This is exactly why you want to make sure you have those notification bells turned on. Now we have Tamara Hassan here, who's the president of IOG. And she confirms that there is a high likelihood that this could potentially actually take effect. Now, what does this actually mean? So after this, we heard from Charles himself where he confirmed, right? Again, you have to go back and watch this. I'll leave the link to this down below. But he confirmed that he will be working alongside policymakers in 2025 and that he's going to have specific people and a particular office put together at IOG just to deal with policymakers and how we can bring crypto adoption to the masses through more regulation and through more oversight. Now, granted, again, a lot of people tend to think that regulations means bad, but if we're able to get regulations, that means that businesses will now be able to be rightfully, right, able to jump into Bitcoin, Cardano, Solana, XRP, whatever, without having to worry about the SEC coming to get them, 2 or 3 years down the line. So long term for me, I think it's extremely bullish. This is sort of what we've needed from Charles. And I really love the attitude. So I've dubbed it Zen Charles. He seems to have come back fully recharged, not even worried or bothered about the trolls, and really focused on not just bringing Cardano to the spotlight, but he's also even talked about, building bridges to Bitcoin and then also to the brand new communities around Cardano, which of course include the names of XRP and Solana, which historically he has fudded and has actually gotten a bad reputation for. So that's also another reason why to watch this bit here. There's a really nice piece where he apologizes to the Bitcoin community, apologizes to the Solana community, and just vows to do a better job taking care of his mental health moving forward. Again, I am just fired up here. Hopefully you guys can sense it. And hopefully you guys appreciate the content. Again, please make sure to smash that thumbs up. Now, Charles also mentioned the fact that Trump currently controls the House and the Senate, or that he will control the House and the Senate, basically meaning that there's going to be a higher likelihood that we're actually able to get things passed across the president's desk without them necessarily getting pushed back. And so again, with prior administrations, there was never full control of the House and the Senate, meaning that even if things were proposed, for example, like Fit 21, which Charles mentioned that he does want to focus on, that those things were turned down ultimately. Now, with Trump back in office in early January, with potential control of the House and the Senate, this means that as crypto bills now finally hit his desk, it's actually going to be able to be passed and actually applied as law. So again, another bit of bullish news. Now, keep in mind, Charles has a really good relationship with RFK, who's actually briefly sort of hinted at in that particular live stream. But as a result, I think that this could also pay more value, right, to bringing credibility towards Charles and what he's able to do, again, not only in Cardano, but for the entire blockchain space. I know that as of late, he's been a proponent for Cardano ADA, but imagine having Charles speaking on behalf of the entire ecosystem. Nothing against Vitalik, nothing against other founders, but there's just a certain amount of rigor, but there's a certain amount of respect that you just have for Charles when you hear him speak about Bitcoin, blockchain, and what this industry was meant to be. So as Cardano and price continue to trickle up here, this has just been a really, really solid start to the bull market. I personally think that altcoins are right around the corner. They're just about ready to run. Cardano now up over 88% in such a short amount of time. So I do want to quickly take a look at that here on the charts as well. So jumping over here, we have Bitcoin, which is now currently trading at $77,000. What is amazing is how quickly the green candles come on the charts here and how quickly everybody goes from being bearish to now being bullish. Just a month ago, everybody was bearish as Bitcoin was at nearly $53,000. Now currently up, let's see, over 45%. Now, I mentioned this before. Don't be surprised if we do see quick and shallow pullbacks on the way up here. I was actually expecting a dip back down to around the $73,000 range. We didn't even get that. And so how does that actually translate over to different coins and different blockchains or just different crypto assets? Looking here at Cardano, ADA is now up over 88%, 23% on the last 24 hours. Again, just measuring from the lows there at around 32 cents and to the wick of this candle here, 100% gains. So if you would have put in anything, right, in this particular asset over the last week alone, you would have been able to make some pretty big gains here. Now, I just made a post about this not too long ago, but breaking down the fact that Cardano has traded sideways for 7 months, and I felt the bad comments. As a creator, I see people leaving emotional comments here, asking what's going on with the ADA price, etc. And literally 7 months of price action has been wiped out in 4 days. This is exactly why it pays to, number one, be involved, pay attention, stay up to date, right? And if, again, you appreciate content like this, make sure to turn on those bell notifications. But then number two, to not lose patience, not lose conviction, and not chase the pump. There was a really big period about a year ago when Bitcoin initially ran where people were saying, hey, I'm moving out of ADA to move into X, Y, and Z. Now you're able to see, right, why it doesn't pay to do that, because Cardano hadn't pumped just yet, and it's now beginning to rip, and it's beginning to rip earlier and harder than any other altcoins right now as it stands. So I do want to quickly highlight that there. Again, I'm extremely excited, extremely fired up here. As we get ready to roll out, I do want to quickly highlight Fit 21, which again, Charles mentioned. I'll play that brief video here in just a moment. But in a nutshell, it states that this particular bill classifies a blockchain as decentralized if, amongst other requirements, which we don't have those requirements just yet, no person has unilateral authority to control the blockchain or its usage, which of course a blockchain like Cardano doesn't have that. We're actually moving into full governance now. And no issuer or affiliated person has control of 20% or more of the digital asset or the voting power of the digital asset. I can tell you right now, looking at the top wallets in Cardano, that is nowhere near the case. So under the Financial Innovation and Technology for the 21st Century Act, or the FIT21 bill, Cardano would technically be marked as a decentralized blockchain. Now, Charles is going to be working to make this legal or make this law, not just for Cardano, but again, for the entire blockchain and crypto space, which is why I highly encourage you guys to check out that most recent live stream that he's done if you haven't already. It's got me bullish. It's got the entire community bullish. And as we can see there on the charts, everybody is now talking about ADA. So that will do it here for today's bit. Again, I'm about to play Charles's video here. It's about 5 to 7 minutes long. You definitely want to make sure to listen. And this is only the highlight here of him recapping sort of his intentions with the law, or excuse me, with the Trump administration and policymakers to sort of get things instilled as law moving forward. But as always, again, if you enjoy content like this, make sure to smash that thumbs up. If it's your first time stopping by and you want more, consider subscribing. And last but not least, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please, again, leave those down below. Enjoy Zen Charles, but this will be me here signing out.
I'm going to be spending quite a bit of time working with lawmakers in Washington, D.C., and quite a bit of time working with members of the administration to help foster and facilitate with other key leaders in industry the crypto policy. We have to do this and we have to get it done. There's a very high probability that the Republicans will control not only the Senate and the presidency, but also the Congress, the House. And in the process of doing so, this is the best opportunity we have ever had in the history of the industry to get clarity for our industry and remove the sort of Damocles that the SEC has reigned over the Cardano ecosystem, Ripple ecosystem, the Ethereum ecosystem, reigned over Solana, reigned over all the major ecosystems, and actually including Bitcoin in many respects, despite the ETF approvals. None of us signed up to have companies like BlackRock dictate to the United States what the crypto policy should be. The crypto policy should be written by the American people, the American crypto industry, and by well-meaning lawmakers who are willing to take the time to listen. So we will establish at Input Output a policy office, and we're going to begin staffing that office, moving some personnel around, and hopefully by January, we can begin to participate in that process and work with certain key leaders in certain key positions and get to a point where we can hybridize many of the proposals, including FIT21, including the Lummis bill, the FIA, and other such things, so that we can get a bipartisan bill passed that will give us absolute clarity of when things are securities and commodities, help us navigate the often tumultuous and chaotic waters of DeFi, and get us to a point where we can get back to business. No one in this industry has asked for a subsidy or a bailout. No one in this industry has asked for special rules or special treatment. All we've asked is to be left alone and be able to build our businesses and create trillions of dollars of value and millions of jobs for the American people. I think with a message like that, it makes absolutely no sense to those who aren't corrupt and those who are listening to actually get a law passed. So that's what we're going to focus on in 2025. We're going to get our growth and adoption where it needs to be, and we're going to make sure that we have solid policy so that we can move forward as a nation. As many of you know, I have personal friendships with certain lawmakers and certain people who are now members of the Trump administration. We hopefully will be able to have great dialogues with them in the coming months to put together some of this policy. And I hope to be part of that, but that has yet to be decided based upon the fact that they're not even in office yet, and they just picked a chief of staff. So it's going to take a little bit more time to see what that composition looks like. But in my early conversations with the transition team and my early conversations with many people who want to promote good crypto policy, I have every reason to believe there is a genuine desire to not relitigate and relive the last 4 disastrous years that have been so painful and harmful to all of us. I also believe there's a strong desire, especially amongst younger Democrats and younger Democrat lawmakers, for crypto policy to be bipartisan instead of a Republican issue and a wedge issue between the parties. And this is most evidenced by the fact that FIT 21 was passed in the House with more than 60 Democrat votes. This election, I fully appreciate, has been very stressful for many Americans who felt that the wrong candidate won. I want to take a moment to talk to them. While we do disagree on politics, and while we do disagree on the nature of how the next 4 years are going to unroll and unravel, there is one thing that unites us. We're still Americans. And I'd like to believe that we both want this country to succeed. And there are many things I think we can find common ground on. I was in Washington State for the last 5 days. Many of the people I was with were not exactly on the right side of the spectrum, but they were quite excited about Robert Kennedy being involved in health policy. And that's the power of a unity party. You don't get everything that you want, but at least you get a few things that you can unify on and talk about. And I do believe that if we come together on both sides of the aisle, that we can get to a crypto policy that makes sense for the entire United States and for all of our businesses here. Because after all, the protocols don't discriminate the politics. So why should we as leaders and why should we in the legislative process? Doesn't make any sense at all. So I'm definitely going to be reaching across the aisle to many people who are on the other side of things and ask them if they'd like to participate in the discussions and conversations. And hopefully, I think we can come to a common understanding about some basic principles as an industry as a whole of where we need to go and what we need to do.